Hello and welcome back to the Game & Browse Toy Box. Today we have something hot off the press to show you.
That's because today we're going to be taking a look at and playing the brand new Atari VCS. Big shout out to our friend, who is also a subscriber to the channel, Scott L, for this super generous donation to the Game & Browse collection. Fun fact, Scott and my dad actually worked together to make games back in the 1980s as part of the Atari Program Exchange. But that's a much longer story for another time. So yeah, our friend Scott actually backed the VCS project and was sent this Backer Edition console a couple months ago. He passed it on to us, and we're excited to be able to share it with you before they go on sale to the general public later this spring. Without further ado, let's see if the old catchphrase, "nothing compares to Atari," still holds true. Advertised as a PC-console hybrid, the Atari VCS, or Video Computer System, is still only available for pre-order as of the production of this video in April of 2021. But if you were to pre-order the all-in console bundle, as they call it on the website, this set of boxes is what would be delivered to your door. I really like the box art for the VCS, with its 70s-inspired color gradient and of course the classic Atari logo. They did a good job of blending both retro and modern aesthetics when designing these boxes. Inside the main box, we have, of course, the VCS console itself in the Onyx finish, which has ports on the back for HDMI, Ethernet, and various USB ports dotted all over the perimeter of the machine.
Inside the VCS looks very similar to what you would see with many other modern game consoles. Atari has opted to go with AMD as their CPU of choice, specifically one of the current Ryzen series of processors. This also ties into the Raven Ridge graphics processing, which is handled by the chip as well. Raven Ridge combines the Zen CPU and Vega GPU microarchitectures into a single APU, or accelerated processing unit. In short, this allows for some solid gaming potential, but isn't going to break the earth like an ultra-high-end discrete graphics card would.
And ultimately this is fine. It helps keep the form factor of the console small, and let's be real, you're not going to be pushing top-of-the-line games in 4K resolution with this thing anyway.
The console has more of a focus on the retro and indie markets currently. That said, it does support 4K in full, but I assume that's more for streaming potential than mind-blowing graphics while gaming. Beyond that, the console features 8GB of upgradable DDR4 RAM, which is really neat all things considered. It's SODIMM, which stands for Small Outline DIMM, or in other words, laptop-sized, so factor that in if you ever find yourself wanting to slap two new sticks into your VCS. Another intriguing point of upgrade is that it supports the addition of an M.2 solid-state drive. This can obviously be used for extra storage on your VCS, should you need it. But there's also another reason, and we'll cover that later. The final thing is that there happens to be some cool Easter eggs etched into the board. Overall, I feel this console wasn't something that was haphazardly put together. There's clearly some passion and attention to detail within it.
As for the accessories, the all-in bundle comes with a wireless controller, which bears a striking resemblance to an Xbox One controller, as well as a good old Atari joystick. But this ain't your granddad's Atari. This is a modernized wireless joystick with a USB micro port, a 100% analog stick that also doubles as the paddle controller, a grippy bottom for shooter titles, a light-up display, rumble capabilities, and some added buttons, including a trigger and a few extra buttons on the face of the joystick. Both controllers also have wired options, which is a nice throwback touch for those that prefer the feel of being physically tethered to their console. We did have some occasional issues with the Bluetooth connectivity, so more often than not, we did end up playing with the controllers wired in. After playing with both controllers for this review, we found that the VCS interface was much easier to navigate with the modern controller.
However, the joystick was of course much more fun to use with the actual games themselves, so you'll probably end up using both with the VCS.
Alright, so let's cut to the chase. The first thing I think we should mention is that the VCS is probably the definitive way to play and experience Atari games in 2021. It's a necessity for any new retro console to play all of the classics. For that, you'll find the included for free VCS Vault, which is home to said classic games from the Atari arcades and the 2600 system, like Asteroids, Centipede, Breakout, Lunar Lander, and Tempest, to name just a few of the playable titles. In addition to those must-haves, there are also a lot of Atari games that I'm not familiar with. There's a lot to choose from here. Of course, the ability to play all of these classic Atari games is great, but that's a given. What really takes this feature to the next level is the Atari Gallery that's included within the VCS Vault. Each game within the Vault collection includes a 360 view of the game's original box or cabinet art, and full scans of all the original game manuals, as well as some original advertisements. I love this aspect of the Vault collection. It's gotta be an absolute dream come true for an Atari archivist to see all of this stuff. In addition to being fun to flip through, these manual scans are necessary for figuring out how to play some of the more cryptic or difficult to control Atari titles.
Each game includes a few different display and game options for a more customizable experience, some of which are necessary in my opinion.
While the joystick does have paddle controls with its twistable center stick, it's a bit awkward to use. Since the joystick is narrow, unlike a true paddle controller, it can make precision movements a bit finicky.
So you'll probably want to dampen the sensitivity, since we found it to be a little too high in many of the game's stock settings.
While talking about the Vault collections, we also bought VCS Vault Volume 2 for $5 from the eStore, which unlocked some games that were originally on the 5200 console, as well as some fun homebrew titles. It is worth mentioning that, in addition to the games you can purchase and store on the VCS's hard drive, the VCS is also more than compatible with the already established Games as a Service platform AntStream Arcade, where you can access tons of classic arcade games from a variety of different publishers. Though typically this service costs a monthly fee, when we first launched the program on our VCS, we actually found out that we had a year's worth of free access to the service, which was super awesome. We then proceeded to use the service to play some of our favorite classic games from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat, Burger Time, and Clay Fighter. This feature, as expected with streaming services, takes a really solid internet connection to utilize though, so be prepared for that before you play. Beyond that, I think it would be fair to say that things are a little bit limited at this time. However, I'm sure that we can expect things to expand going into the future with the partnership through Indie Game Hub Game Jolt. But as of this review, we're eager to see what's coming next.
Perhaps now would be a great time to talk about a wish list. I think it would be awesome to continue the VCS Vault as a collection of all things Atari. Adding in games from consoles like the 7800, the Lynx, and even the Jaguar would be an absolutely awesome way to continue padding the number of games that the console offers, while also offering things that many gamers might have never had a chance to play. Heck, it could even be an opportunity to play working Jaguar CD games. Of course, compilations like that require a complex situation of licensing debacles, but it's a wish list after all. The biggest one I would love to see is Atari's Star Wars arcade games to make their way over to the VCS console, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now to come back to that expandable memory topic, if you truly want to bypass the Atari VCS and its proprietary OS, you can use another operating system on the device like Windows, Linux, or even SteamOS. It's not something I'm particularly interested in doing at the moment due to a plethora of other projects in my life, but I'm intrigued to say the least. What some other users have been doing with the console is awesome, and from what I can tell, it makes a fantastic emulation box and a fairly decent gaming PC. It can even run Cyberpunk 2077. Well, kinda. At least we definitely know it can run Doom. So if that's something you'd like to explore rather than entertaining options like a Raspberry Pi or a living room PC, then perhaps a VCS is for you. Or maybe you just want to be weird and use a VCS as a work computer. In theory, I could do some lightweight video editing on it with a proper Windows OS install, but I'm sure that's not the weirdest thing you could do with it either. Make it a Minecraft server or anything, who knows? With PC mode and the VCS's upgradability, really the only limit is your imagination. With that said, I think that pretty much sums up our thoughts on the new Atari VCS, for now at least. If you're looking for the definitive modern Atari experience, or a strange mini form factor PC with some interesting unlockable potential, then we definitely recommend picking up this cool little device whenever it comes out for the general public in spring of 2021, which in theory should be any day now according to the official VCS website. Now, while it does boast a bit of a hefty price tag at $399 for the VCS All-In bundle, it does come with everything you've seen here today. And if that interests you, then you can pre-order it using the link down in the description below.
If you like what you saw here today, please consider liking the video and leaving us a comment down below. Comments help our videos show up better in the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do so, because every subscriber means a lot to us on a small channel like this.
As always, thanks for watching.